Joining me right now with an update is New York Congresswoman Elise. She's the House Republican chairwoman. And Congresswoman, it's always great to see you. Thank you so much for being here. Is that what you want? You want the cap lifted to $65,000 up from the current $10,000?
No, certainly that a number of numbers have been discussed, Maria. My priority is getting this bill across the finish line. So, of course, I am one of President Trump's strongest allies and have been working to bring this to a resolution to cut taxes for all Americans, but also address this double taxation issue, which President Trump campaigned on when he campaigned in New York State. Many of our members have been working on this for over 2 years. It's an area where it would relieve taxes for hardworking families in areas where President Trump did increasingly well this last election cycle. So we are getting there. We know the importance of getting this bill across the finish line for tax cuts for all Americans, to unleash energy independence, to secure the border. So President Trump will have a warm welcome. It should not have dragged on this long, Maria. This is President Trump's top agenda item. He is the best closer there is. He is the one who is going to get this done. But certainly I've been engaged to bring this to a resolution that works for swing state New York districts, safe New York districts, and safe districts across the country.
Well, I know that when leadership first said $30,000 was where they wanted to take it, you and some of your colleagues thought that wasn't high enough.
The issue with that, Maria, is there was no discussion. There was no discussion with the members whose districts were impacted. And when you look at districts like Long Island, that was not going to be acceptable in terms of what that cap needed to be. There needs to be engagement. It needed to be earlier in the process. And certainly that's why I stepped up to bring people together with leadership to get this done. This is not going to hold up the bill. We are going to lead to deliver President Trump's one big, beautiful bill on behalf of the American people. So did I step up? You bet I did, Maria, because I know that this was with this slim majority, we have to deliver on President Trump's agenda. So we are moving towards a resolution that works for the entire House Republican Conference. And most importantly, this is important for the American people. This is what we ran on, and this is what we're going to deliver.
So, I mean, you want to get this out of the House by what? Thursday, right? Before you all leave for the Memorial Day weekend. You've got other members who aren't as concerned with SALT, but they're concerned about spending cuts, particularly as the president also wants the debt ceiling raised by $5 trillion as we approach the X date. Where are you on that? Do you think you'll be able to identify enough cuts to placate the other members who say this is not the bill that actually gets us to real spending cuts?
So this is a balancing act, Maria. You have members from all different types of districts across the country. What I believe is most important is this is President Trump's agenda. This is our one opportunity to deliver for the American people. We need to see that as the result. So this is about extending tax cuts. It's no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, unleashing American energy independence, and securing the border once and for all, which President Trump has done by executive action. But we need to codify that and provide the federal funding to do so. That is what this is about. And these details, while they are important, we need to not let them get in the way from delivering on this for the American people. So these conversations, which should have happened months ago, they are happening now to bring this to a close. And that's why I think President Trump coming to Capitol Hill, he is the most important viewpoint in terms of getting this done. And members are looking forward to hearing from him directly.
All right. That's terrific. What's the most important thing you want to hear from the president today?
I think what we want to hear from the president is the importance of unifying, and Republicans are ready to step up to unify, to deliver, and then we have to work this way through the process when it comes back from the Senate, Maria. So this is one first step in this big, beautiful bill process.
Yeah, I mean, your colleagues need to understand the ramifications if this doesn't get through, and the 2026 elections, and whether or not you're going to see the Democrats take the gavel and start going all in on trying to impeach President Trump. That's for sure, because Hakeem Jeffries as a Speaker of the House is not something I think you and your colleagues want to see. But I got to move on and get your take on other things. House Republican leaders, including yourself and John Molinar, the head of the China Select Committee, are demanding transparency from Harvard and its president, Alan Garber, following evidence of repeated collaborations between faculty and the Chinese Communist Party. The allegations include Harvard hosting members of Xinjiang Production and Construction Corps, a CCP parliamentary group under U.S. sanctions, Why are they having a sanctioned group at Harvard? Researchers also reportedly collaborated with China-based academics on projects funded by the Iranian government, Congresswoman. So you've got the Harvard right there in the middle of supporting our two main adversaries. You'll be featured at Yeshiva University's commencement Thursday. Congratulations to you. I would love to hear that speech in the audience. But what do you want to say about all of this CCP involvement now at Harvard?
It is deeply, deeply disturbing, Maria, and this is an area where I have led in terms of oversight and accountability of these higher ed institutions that have lost their way. We spent a lot of time talking about U.S. taxpayer dollars, but what I'm deeply concerned about is these partnerships, in addition to the abuse of U.S. taxpayer dollars, it's partnerships with our adversaries. By law, these universities have to disclose that to the Department of Education. My concern is that they have not abided by the law and that they are pursuing partnerships with adversaries, whether it's the Iranian regime or whether it's communist China. This is not who we are. This is one of the reasons why Secretary McMahon's actions to defund and pull back those federal dollars is so incredibly important. This is a national security risk for our country and for our next generation of students. So we're going to continue to holding these universities' feet to the fire to answer these questions and make sure that this foreign influence from adversaries, that this infiltration of our higher education institutions does not continue.
Yeah, President Trump knew this years ago in the first term. Remember, the State Department indicted the Harvard professor who was actually sharing intellectual property from Harvard to the CCP. What about what we've learned this week about President Biden? The president discussed Biden's recent cancer diagnosis at the White House yesterday, telling reporters he finds the situation very sad. One of Biden's former medical advisors said that he's probably had this cancer for some time while he was the sitting president. Watch this.
You had said that very few people have it actually diagnosed at this late stage, that's rare. Doesn't it take some time for prostate cancer to develop to a point where it would spread to the bones?
Oh, he's had this for many years, maybe even a decade, growing there and spreading. That's right. It's a little surprising. He did not develop it in the last 100, 200 days.
And guess what? The first frost, you know what was happening? It had to put on their windshield wipers to get literally the oil slick off the window. That's why I and so damn many other people I grew up have cancer. And why can't, for the longest time, Delaware had the highest cancer rate in the nation.
So that was 2022 when he slipped up and said, I have cancer. OK, and then all his aides said, oh, no, that was a slip up. No, he doesn't have cancer. I mean, I don't know. My heart goes out to him for this diagnosis. But at the same time, is this more of a cover up? All of this time, not only were we dealing with the mental challenges, but now he's had cancer this whole time. And again, they hid it from the American people and sent him out there to run to be president. Is it that much of an obsession not to loosen their grip on power that they would put him forward, even though they knew all of this?
Well, certainly, Maria, I share President Trump's best wishes for Joe Biden and his family. This is a horrible health situation that has impacted so many families, but it forces the questions of there was a fundamental lack of transparency. And what's worse is I believe there was a cover-up. We know this now, that there was an absolute cover-up of the aides around President Biden, of his health records in terms of how deeply, deeply ill-prepared and unable to complete the job of President of the United States. The President of the United States has the best doctors in the world, and yet this was never disclosed to the American people. This was hidden. It forces more questions than not of what was happening? Why was this withheld? Was it so political that they withheld this information from the American people? Yeah. It forces more of these questions. Again, we wish the Biden family as much healthful recovery as possible, but it opens up more questions that it is our responsibility to ask as Americans. How could this possibly have happened? And what I do think is ridiculous is now you have members of the media, not you, Maria, who were part of this cover-up, who smeared Republicans, who said that Joe Biden was not able to do this job, and now they're out there saying, oh, yes, this was ridiculous. They were part of this cover-up. I remember I had said years ago that the aides around the White House there could be a catastrophic health event, and they would not tell the American people. That has proven to be the case, Maria, and we were smeared for saying that.
Yeah, I know you are, and we were as well, by the way. Congresswoman, real quick before you go, I want to end where I started, and that is on this SALT cap deduction. Look, you're going to run for New York governor when you're ready. We know that. You've said that you're the best candidate to take down Kathy Hochul. It really is more about the fact that taxes are too high in New York. If you run and win for governor, are you going to cut taxes?
Absolutely, Maria, and you hit the nail on the head. We are facing significant taxes in New York State, and the reality is these hardworking families, they are getting crushed. So what do Republicans do? We're trying to provide relief, but how do we get to the root cause? We lower taxes in New York State. We get our fiscal house in order. Certainly, that's a top issue no matter where I go in New York State, whether it's upstate Long Island or New York City. We are the highest tax state in the nation. They must be cut, and in the meantime, we're the ones that are talking about cutting these taxes. So yes, a new governor will cut these taxes. It's one of the reasons why we need to fire Kathy Hochul next year to save New York.
Well, not every new governor is going to cut taxes, but you said you're going to cut taxes. I mean, if it's a
Republican governor will. A Republican governor will.
Congressman, it's good to see you this morning. Thank you so much. Elise Stefanik joining us. Thank you. All right. We will be right back. Stay with us.